Hello, folks. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports, rebranded from Chris Wyatt Africa, although we still call ourselves Chris Wyatt Africa. And look who's on the screen there. None other than Kevin Sorbo. This gent is from Minnesota, the land of lutefisk. How's it going there, Kevin?
Pretty good. Lutefisk is horrible, but lefse is very good. I highly recommend lefse. It's like a potato crepe. It's awesome.
Well, I thought I'd have a little bit of fun there with the lutefisk. We just can't help but do that, coming straight out there. Now, we met in Orlando recently at CPAC, and you were a very busy guy, very generous with your time. Still very, very popular. Everybody wanted to come up and talk to you. I think they want to talk to you more than they want to talk to Voldemort. You know, he whose name we dare not mention, Donald John Trump.
Well, you know what? The people are great. I mean, 7 years as Hercules, 5 years as Captain Dylan Hunt. But I got to tell you what, it's transitioned to most of those people come up to me because of the movies that I do. They're family friendly, you know, like God's Not Dead, What If, Let There Be Light, Soul Surfer. And those are the more gratifying for me, that because those are movies that are filled with love and hope and faith and redemption, and things that Hollywood doesn't do. That's the kind of movies that I'm trying to make more and more of.
That's awesome. Sorry, just a second here. Something happened here on my screen. I wonder what's going on there. Just a second. I've lost you on the screen. I don't know why that happened there. All right, here we go. All right. Yeah, no, it's why is Zoom not there? I've lost my Zoom connection. Just a second here. Very sorry about that.
Yes.
That happens sometimes. Where the heck is? That's not it. Sorry. Wow, that's bizarre. That's not it. Sorry. What the heck is going on here? Zoom just disappeared here. Folks, I know you can hear us in the background. There we go. My goodness. So that's embarrassing. All right. Well, there you go. So much for professionalism. Kevin Sorbo's back now, as am I. Welcome back to the stream, folks. Yeah. So he was just saying fans are really great after all that time as Hercules and as Dylan Hunt. Listen, I got to be honest. I liked Hercules. I enjoyed it. We're going to get to the film in South Africa. That's why I asked to talk to you today. But I really enjoyed Hercules. But it was kind of almost, in some ways, it was kind of jocular, kind of amusing sort of show. I think it was a great show that kids could watch. It wasn't about fighting and such. It was more about, I think, the relationships that you form with other characters. Is that a fair, analysis of what happened to Hercules?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I call it, Malibu Hercules. So it was. I love the fact they put in moral messages in there, even though it's mythological. They still put a lot of moral messages in there. The fight scenes, for the most part, were done in a comical way, and I think as people loved. There was always great little one-line zingers that they put in there, and they let us ad lib a lot of it as well. And it was just, I knew halfway through season one that we had a hit on our hands. I really did. I just felt there's nothing like on TV. And certainly, Hollywood copies anything that's popular. So by season 3, we actually became the most watched show in the world. And we spun off Xena in season 3. But at that same season, everybody else was copying it. There was a female Sheena show. There was Tarzan, Conan, Robin Hood, Sinbad. So everybody comes out to try to copy it. But we kicked their butts. We were still the best show out there.
No, I remember all that, and of course Lucy Lawless with the Xena Warrior Princess. I think she did a couple episodes in your first season, and then that spun off, and that also became a major hit too. People really
second season. Second season at the end of season 2. Okay, they actually had another woman booked, but they had another woman booked for that role. Lawless had been in a couple episodes prior to that. But the woman that they booked for role of Xena came down became very ill, had to be hospitalized. And filming was starting on with that Xena. I mean, it was set to go. They couldn't wait because they said this woman was in a hospital like 3 months or something. So they panicked and they all decided, well, we like Lucy, so we'll end up doing it. So talk about being at the right place at the right time, because it was supposed to be meant for another actress. And in season 5, we spun up young Hercules with a young unknown actor by the name of Ryan Gosling playing me as a teenager.
yeah, Ryan Gosling. I think I've heard that name somewhere before since then.
Yeah, he's done pretty well since then.
I'd say. Brett Sessons gave a super chat here and he said, Kevin did awesome and God's Not Dead. He really enjoyed that.
Love that movie. I did a movie prior to that called What If, from the same writers. PureFlix, the same company. PureFlix is now owned by Sony, a firm. PureFlix, the company itself, kind of went under. They sold everything to Rich Palouse and his team. But I love God's Not Dead, but I tell people all the time, check out What If. I mean, that's probably the biggest problem with independent movies. It's hard to get the promotional aspect out there to let people be aware of these really good movies. So since he just asked about what God's Not Dead, please check out What If. In my book, I've shot 70 movies so far. That easily is in my top 3, easily.
Well, in fact, that's one of the things I was going to talk to you about today is you know, if people
Sure.
look up your CV, you know, people recognize you from Hercules and recognize you from Andromeda, but you've been incredibly active in television before that, and guest appearances on things like Murder, She Wrote, lots of shows. In addition to that, you've been in films repeatedly. You're also a producer and a director yourself, and films that seem to have been a big part of what you've done for the past decade. Is that accurate?
Yeah. We did 4 last year, 3 movies, and we got a documentary that's coming out. All will be out this year. And I'm heading to Israel soon to shoot another documentary. And then I got a Western that will hopefully start this year. I've heard rumors of September, called Trailblazers. And so, you know, I don't like sitting around. I like to keep myself as busy as possible. We do have our own company, production company, sorbostudios.com. Please go to sorbostudios.com and sign up. And, you know, we're always looking for funding like everybody else. You know, we do little movies with $3 to $4 million budgets, and we do movies that look a lot more expensive than that, and movies that affect people in a positive way. Like I said, we want to do more positive movies instead of the negative stuff that Hollywood keeps doing.
Well, you know, I came across something recently after I was in Orlando, and of course doing a little research, checking some of your background, a few things I did know about you, and I saw that you did a Walking Tall movie, and I'm like, what, Buford T. Pusser? He did it, because I remember those growing up as a kid, the movies that were done about Walking Tall. I watched it. It seems like it was built kind of on the same premise, you know, lawless sort of behavior, but it's not based off of Buford T. Pusser's story.
Yeah, it is loosely. It definitely is. They said I didn't look like a Buford, so they changed my name. But we did 2 of them. We did 2. Walking Tall, Lone Justice, and Walking Tall, The Payback. And they did really well for Sony. And there was talk for months that they were going to make a TV series out of it, and it never materialized, which is too bad, because I would have loved to do it. I mean, you know, I would say those videos, they're kind of a hard R with the violence, because there's some violence in there, and there's it's not like language and stuff, but it definitely deals with some tough times, and he's got to clean up the bad guys, the bad characters that he comes across during both movies.
Well, in fact, in that movie, there was for the R rating, there was a scene in which a young lady was violated, and that was definitely, it's probably something that you couldn't put on TV. So yeah, but you know, I was a little surprised to see it. What I know of you, you're a person of deep faith, and I was not criticizing or commenting, but when I saw that movie, I was like, wow, okay, I didn't expect to see this in this movie. I thought this is, you know, it's a hard story, but maybe a little more, you know, a syrupy, but it wasn't syrupy at all. It was hard hitting and really well done. And then it kind of surprised me in the movie, but I think it added a lot to the film.
Yeah, no question. I like it because the good triumphing over evil is in there. And those are the kind of things I want to see, because right now we're seeing evil triumphing over good. We're seeing evil all around the world, let alone in our country. We've seen people of power that are using fear as a weapon to control all our lives right now. And I keep telling people, I said, you know, we cannot live in fear the rest of our lives. And I'm not here to wake up the sheep. The sheep are going to be the sheep. I'm here to wake up the lions, and hopefully people start fighting back, because I think we are reaching a tipping point. We're seeing more and more people saying enough is enough with a lot of different things, whether it's COVID, whether it's the economy, whether it's energy, what it may be. We know more of what to do to make this country better than our government does, I think.
Well, I find that very interesting. You know, it's I tell people, because of course I have a lot of experience. You know, I've been in the military for 36 and a half years, worked at the strategic level and all these different places. And, you know, when I look at 535 members of Congress, I tell people there's probably about 100 there. They're dedicated, loyal patriots that care about you and I and making the country a better place. And the other 400 plus are about their ego, self-aggrandizement, the appearances on MSNBC and the Washington Post and things like that. It's all about them. It's not about the country. And it's really, you know, and people, they have this deference to members of Congress. And I said, look, they're human beings. They're Homo sapiens like the rest of us. And frankly, a lot of them are used car salesmen or ambulance chasing shyster lawyers. You know, that's what they did before they got the Congress. So they just have the gift of gab, you know, so don't, you know, put this reverence on members of Congress. They work for you and expect them to answer your desires and needs. And that's kind of the approach I take. I suspect you kind of feel the same way.
Well, it is we the people, right? But we've forgotten that. And people too are afraid to speak up. And like I said, the fear is an amazing weapon. And people cower in the shadows and they, oh my gosh, I can't say anything. Yeah, you can. We live in a weird world right now where people can cancel people. People can, you know, this whole wokeness stuff. It's weird. I look at these people. I love to do a psychological profile on them, do a documentary on them, because I guarantee you there's a common pattern there. These are people who do not like themselves. And I think this is where misery loves company. These are miserable people, and they want to drag everybody else down in the black hole that they live in. And I've lost jobs because of these guys. Oh, if he shows up, we're going to riot. I'm going, really? Really? It's amazing to me that these trolls who know who I am, but I can't meet my enemy, my accuser, face to face. Not looking for a fight. I'm looking for a good debate, because I tell you what, I could destroy these people in a common sense, intelligent debate, because all they have is their labels. You're a Nazi, you're a racist, you're a homophobe. And you go, okay, how am I that way? Or how is anybody that way? You go after them. They don't ever have an answer. They just have a label, that's all they say. And then they walk away when you hit them up with any sort of common sense or truth. They hate the truth. They love living the lie. They love living in darkness. So I'm here to shine the light on these bozos.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because, you can identify whatever you want to be today. And I tell people that I identify as a lampshade because I shed light on the world.
I like that. That's well, good. That's good.
If you can be whatever you want, why can't I be a lampshade?
Apparently, yes. It's Looney Tuneville. It's crazy.
Well, no, it absolutely is. And I agree with you. Discourse, when I started my I had an original channel on YouTube that was, for their 16 years, never had a problem with it. Of course, I was an intelligence officer, so I just put travel videos on there. And then when I retired, I started doing political discourse, and I said I want to encourage discourse, but all that did was bring faceless trolls in who just want to call people names and things like that. I still remember, I don't want to say fondly, but quite clearly, a couple years ago when I was called a KKK Klansman and a white supremacist, and I said, how does that jive with the fact that I fought the CIA for 3 months to publish a presidential daily brief that resulted in 640,000 black Africans not starving to death? I've got to be one of the worst racists on the planet if I'm saving 640.
You're really bad. You're horrible at your job. You're just really
mission failure.
They should take you up a dental plan. This is ridiculous.
No, it's and I had a guy in South Africa who started attacking me on Twitter. One of these black nationalists that went after me and said, this guy, he claims to speak African language. He says he speaks Zulu. He only knows is Sawubona. I never claim to speak Zulu. I do speak 6 languages. 3 of them are African. I said Sawubona in my program because it's the only Zulu word that I know. It means I see you, and it's a greeting in South Africa. So he used that to attack me. You're right. They just use labels. They have no facts. They can't. You could stand there and eviscerate them with a toothpick, and their entrails would fall on the table. It's so easy.
Yeah, of course it is. And the guy's jealous because you do speak 6 languages. He probably speaks English, and he doesn't speak that very well. Because, I know I don't. I get corrected all the time.
Well, to be fair, you are from Minnesota, yeah, eh? She was sleeping with the little guy, the little fella there, I'm telling you all about it. Had Ludafisk at the fair. It was brilliant. No, seriously. Well, I learned something when I taught at Iowa State, Kevin. And, I always thought that Iowa was a Native American term. And what happened is my students, because a lot of students go to Iowa State, engineering students come from Minnesota. And my students from Minnesota told me in class one day, said, Captain Wyatt, that Iowa, you know what that stands for, right? And my Iowa students' eyes started rolling. I said, no, it's a Native American term. No. It's an acronym. It means idiots out walking around.
There you go. Well, my parents grew up in Iowa. They're both born and raised there. That's where my descendants settled from Norway. I keep going. So you came from Norway, which is cold and freezing half the year, to another place that's cold and freezing half the year. I couldn't quite figure that one out. But we got good roots down there, and I know Iowa State's still in March Madness, I believe. So I'll follow them. I'll see what happens, what that basketball team does. But I try to get back all the time. I remember one time I was back in Minnesota, and they were talking about the traffic was really bad going through St. Paul, Minneapolis. And the guy said it must be a couple from Iowa in their car going, "Look, honey, trees." I thought that was pretty good.
Well, I will say this, I did find interesting that people in Iowa, you'd think they'd be able to drive better than they do. There's nobody on the roads. All the roads are straight. But there's 2 things about Iowa, not to beat up on your parents' origin there, but 2 things about it. I discovered that you could save $400 per new car if you simply did install turn indicators. Turn signals are optional in Iowa. Everybody honked at me every time I used a turn signal, like, what are you doing? Nobody uses those. And the second thing is that when it snows, for a state with all that snow, they seem a little bit lost. I'm driving in my Volvo down the road, zipping along in 3 inches of snow, coming back from Minneapolis, went up there for Thanksgiving. And all the Iowans are like sliding off the road. I'm like, dude, don't you know how to drive? I was a bit surprised at the poor driving skills in Iowa. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still have the skills from Minnesota. Trust me, because Minnesota, you need to have a whiteout about 50 below zero and 5 feet of snow on the ground to call off a school day. Otherwise, you go to school. There was no getting out. So you gotta scrape that little 12-inch square window driving your car, trying to get down the road. I don't miss those days. I left California 3.5 years ago. I live in Florida now.
Okay.
So I'm in the state with the best governor in the country right now, and I love living here. We're having a great time.
Now, he was brilliant at CPAC. His speech, opened the whole thing up, was absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed that. No,
well, hey, I got to tell you, I was the MC last Friday night at Mar-a-Lago, the president's place, and I got to introduce him, DeSantis, and a bunch of other dignitaries, and get up in the full house of about 1,000 people at the Mar-a-Lago, and it was a really cool event. I was really honored to be part of the MC program there.
No, that really is amazing. But, you're talking about the snow days, and I think about kids in Maryland and Northern Virginia. The sky threatens an inch or two of snow, and school's called off. I worked in the National Security Agency, and, there was a threat of 4 inches of snow, and they shut down work the next day. We hadn't even snowed yet. And I'm like, what's with you people? Like in Minnesota, like you said, it's got to be 50 below and 3 feet of snow already on the ground and still snowing before they even consider giving you a day off of school.
Oh, look, I did a PSA in Dallas, Texas, about 5 or 6 years ago for bullying, anti-bullying campaign. Mm-hmm. And it snowed about an inch in Dallas. I wake up in the morning and look out the hotel window. Oh, cool, snow. It never rarely snows in Dallas. The news is on. They're shutting every single school down. And the production number calls me and goes, man, should we postpone this and do it tomorrow? And I said, well, are you guys there? And I say, yeah, don't worry. I can drive. I'll get there. Trust me. There's not going to be a problem there. But I just thought it was hilarious what people do. So I'm going to show you something here because I know this always makes people go a little bit crazy. That's my job. That's me golfing. That's me golfing the president right there.
Hey, it's Voldemort.
It was awesome. It was awesome, though. We had a great time.
No doubt. Well, you are a golfer. That's one of your hobbies, isn't it?
I'm an avid golfer. I've already brought my 18 holes in. I will not golf any place unless they let me play first. So I tee off by myself. I'll play 2 golf balls in about an hour and 40 minutes. I'm quick. I'm low single handicap, so I get around fast, and I love doing it. I just don't want to spend 4 to 5 hours a day doing it.
No, I'm with you. That's when I used to golf. It was early morning. If they're open at 7, I'm there to get on the links and get done. I want to get eyeing the ball up and spending half an hour. No. Let me get out there, drive the ball. If it goes in the rough, let me dig.
Slow people, they drive me insane. Hit the frickin' ball. Okay, just quit. The reason you suck is because you think about it too much. Get up and swing. Get up and swing. And I'm an early morning guy. I wake up at 4:35 every morning anyway. So,
wow, 4:35. Okay, well, sounds like a farmer. I was a dairy farmer in my youth, and every morning at 5:30, I'm milking or 5 o'clock milking cows because I had to go to school after that. Yeah, it's very early.
Well, I think it's a carryover as a kid from for 7 years, starting at 9 years old. I delivered the Minneapolis Tribune to 80 houses around my neighborhood. So I'd be up at 4:30 Monday through Saturday for all those 7 years as a kid in all Minnesota weather, whether it's hot and humid or 20 below. And I learned responsibility quick, but I got stuck with that early morning get up, and it's fine by me. I love my mornings.
Well, let me take a few things in from the chat, from the conversation from viewers real quick, because they're getting kind of antsy here, Kevin. And I think I'm ignoring this, but we're having a Lekka conversation here, guys. So Leon Kokomo, who's in South Africa, says, hi, Kevin, huge fan, love God's Not Dead, and I'm planning on watching it, watching What If, okay? Cameron says, please ask Kevin to say hi to my dad, Bill Heslop. If you could do that. Hi, Bill Heslop.
Hey, Bill Heslop, how you doing? Kevin Sorbo here, and I'm saying hi. I'll say happy birthday, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, whatever. Hopefully cover all those things. And by the way, you mentioned those movies again. Check out Let There Be Light. Let There Be Light is a movie. Where is it? I directed this movie. Sean Hannity funded it. It's a very good movie. Please check it out. Go to sorbostudios.com. I'll give an autographed copy to you guys.
Yeah, no, I did. I remember when Sean Hannity was funding that. It's pretty interesting. Vitra, someone I don't recognize, someone new in here says, hi, Kevin Sorbo. Ginger Ninja loves Kevin Sorbo. Annette Beckett says, watched every, how come all the ladies are commenting about loving Kevin? But Annette Beckett says, watched every episode of Hercules and Xena with youngsters. And then Brett gave another super chat. He said he did awesome in American Carol, made fun of Michael Moore. Well, anytime you make fun of Michael Moore, you know, that's always fun. I still remember his Roger and Me, you know, hit job he did on General Motors back in the day. Not that General Motors didn't deserve to be hit, but that was just a personal attack, was unnecessary. What is Kevin's favorite film about Africa besides one he's shooting? We're going to get to that in a second, but there was, let me see, I don't want to miss, there's something else that just came up a moment ago. There it is. Chat's function's not working very well. There we go. Fishes and Loaves, who lives in Florida, by the way. Carol says, can Kevin Sorbo tell us about his background with the sword and other things? Well, that's on the wall. We're going to get to that in a second. And whoop, whoop, whoop. Yes, represent conservative Florida, because she's in Florida as well, and she's a conservative. She's also a gardener and farmer. Yeah, so let's, what's the first one there? It was, do you have any films about Africa that you're familiar with? And if so, do you have a favorite? A lot of people.
Well, you know, obviously, Out of Africa was a great movie. Blood Diamond was unbelievable. The Leonardo DiCaprio movie, based on all the pretty much corrupt diamond cultivation there. I've got a movie. I mean, a movie I'm going to shoot over there later this year with Jacob Boyens, who is from South Africa, lives here in America now. He's a filmmaker now, lives in Dallas, and it's called Brothers, which is a pretty cool script. But I have another one that easily can be made a television series. For lack of a better title right now, we're just calling it Little House in Africa, but it's a true story dealing about a woman who became the first bush pilot in Africa, in South Africa, back in the 1950s, when certainly even in America, the woman's place was in the home, right? So for a woman to be that brave and go out there against all these, men, that's, a woman's place should be in the home. In fact, I joked to my wife the other day. She was in front of the kids. She goes, "I'm a woman, damn it. Make me feel like a woman." I said, "Yeah, go iron my clothes." Oh. That's an old joke. Old joke. But no, trust me, she's got a lot more going on the ball than I do. But I can't wait to get out there. I had a trip planned years ago, and something else came up. I couldn't make it out there. Gary Player is a very dear friend of mine. He's a South African golfer. He's one of only, I think, 5 golfers that have won all 4 majors in the history of the game. And he's back there now. It's the first time he's been back in over 2 years. His wife was very ill and she passed away here in the States. And but I can't wait to get out there. And I hope we get that series made that I told you about A Little House in Africa, because it's a great story. And I think we should make a TV series of it. I'm ready for another series. I've been doing a lot of movies. I just finished my 70th movie. And so I've been very busy. Not all of them are good. There's a dozen or so that suck. You don't think they're going to turn out that way, but sometimes they do.
Well, I mean, the odds are, not everything's always excellent. So, but if only 12 suck, that's pretty good out of 70. And 70 is quite respectable. I mean, that's there are a lot of very famous stars from the heyday of film back in the day that didn't even make 70 films and very well known. That's pretty impressive. But as far as, do you have a filming location? Do you know what part of South Africa you're going to be filming this in?
There's a ranch outside of Cape Town that he's got like 2,500 acres. He's got the big 5 animals out there. They've shot movies there before. I've only seen the aerial view of the whole place. I am talking to the people that run it and own it. So I don't know the exact location. I just know it's near Cape Town.
All right, so it's in the Western Cape for the audience. A lot of people who watch the show are in Cape Town, the Cape Town area. Listen, the last film I appeared in had Beau Bridges and General Wesley Clark, and it was, turns out, kind of a leftist documentary. So, I was at Aspen out there for the alternative energy conference to do out there. All the billionaires, Tom Stein was out there, and all these other folks fly out there in their jets. And I went out there to speak about energy in Africa. They asked me to come out, and I ran into someone who said, "Oh, General Clark would love you." And I knew General Clark. I was just a captain when he was already a general. And when I was a colonel, he's already retired. But anyway, I knew of him and had worked under him in Europe, way under him. Anyway, so someone said, "Oh, General Clark would love you." And they introduced me to his wife. And next thing I know, I'm getting introduced to a film producer who's doing a documentary. And we walked around outside and they filmed the footage. And then I met with his son, who was also in the Army, but's now in the film industry too. And we sat around. And I wound up being in the film. I got credited for that. It's not the first film I've ever been in, but anyway, it's kind of a leftist documentary. So if you're going to do something that's middle of the road or conservative, you need an extra. Let me know, because I need to balance out my film appearances. I can't just be in left wing movies.
We'll make that happen.
Okay, sounds good. No, but the Western Cape, if you've never been there, you're going to absolutely love it. It's a stunning natural environment, and the people people are fantastic. Most of the folks who live around there are so-called colored, which of course is not a bad term. It's not 1950s U.S. Terminology. It means mixed race and a very distinct group of people. But it's fascinating. The winelands, you'll really enjoy it. It's a beautiful spot.
Cool.
So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I think
as long as I can golf, I'm happy.
Oh, you can golf. Yeah, you can golf. And the weather's it's a Mediterranean climate, so it's nice year round. So I think you'll really enjoy it. And I'm sure that South Africans will take to you very quickly. Obviously, a lot of them here have watched all your shows over the years. They've really enjoyed that. But so this film, has it been long in the planning for it, or is this something relatively recent that came up?
Yeah, no, it's been long. Well, the brother is one with Jaco Boyens, who, by the way, played in the rugby team in South Africa. He's a professional athlete, retired. But the problem we have is trying to raise money for $3 to $4 million movies, and that's all they are, And that's not big budget, but COVID has killed so much of that independent market right now, trying to raise money. It's just very frustrating. A lot of people, this fear factor once again. Oh, theaters will never come back. Theaters here in Florida are packed. They're packed in Texas. They're packed in Georgia. I mean, people are coming back to theaters. Theaters will never die. People love that experience. I still love going to a theater. So. The panic over that is ridiculous, because we just got to get past the panic and fear of what COVID has done in terms of making people stay at home because they're afraid, the world's coming to an end over a virus that has a 99.7% chance recovery if you get it, spread over all ages. And I've been reading up a lot on it lately. I mean, Facebook took me down because I was posting stuff that other doctors were saying on the other side of the issue. God forbid you have an opposing point of view of Zuckerberg. I mean, that guy's such a wuss. And his little trolls, So God forbid you say something opposite of what they want to have their agenda to be. But
it's the same on this platform. We have to be very careful on this platform. That's why I joke around saying Voldemort. I actually got a strike because I carried his Arizona speech. And here's the irony: in his speech, I blocked him speaking 9 times. He started talking about the choosing of 2020. He started talking about that, and I turned off his audio, and I commented while he was talking and turned it back on. And then at the end of it, I spewed their propaganda and spent 3 minutes saying, it's time to move on, anyway. And then I got a strike. They took my channel down for a week because I was spreading scams and misinformation. It's really, what, Kevin, what really disturbs me, and I'm sure it disturbs your brother, I would suspect, and you as well, but particularly us because we serve in uniform and support and defend the Constitution for so long, is that we support and defend the Constitution for free speech, and the government can't censor your speech, but these people are acting as extensions of the government, trying to censor speech. And there's two things. I saw yesterday some conservative site talking about, well, the thing about this is that they're private enterprises and free speech advocates are saying a private business can do what they want. That's true. But when it suits the government's needs, they intrude. Why are the Boy Scouts forced to have girls in the Boy Scouts instead of being the Boy Scouts? The campfire girls, the brownies, the Girl Scouts aren't forced to have boys. So that's intrusion in the private sector, in a private actor. Yeah. These folks here, it's not a question of them simply acting as an arm of the government at the behest of Peppermint Patty or, the Manchurian Cadaver. By the way, that's what I affectionately call Joe, as the Manchurian Cadaver. That's my name for him. And so it's not just that, but it's also the fact that they're violating law. The 1996 Telecommunications Act gave them exemptions from being sued and prosecuted for content that you and I put on there. They're protected because they're not publishers. But when they take you down over content they disagree with, they're a publisher. And that's the real issue here. And they actually, no one's talking about that. That's what
they love their hypocrisy. It's so blatant and it's right in our faces all the time.
Yep.
I mean, these are the same people that, like the whole mask wearing ridiculousness. It's all theater. Because the minute the cameras are off, there's other people still recording them. They take their masks off. It's all just BS. I mean, I do a lot. I mean, through my book, True Strength, I've talked to a lot of doctors, and they say 6 feet, made up number. If you really wanted to stay safe and not potentially get a cold or anything from anybody, you got to be at least 20 feet apart. We can't live as a society 20 feet apart from everybody. It'd be impossible. Kevin, so it's just it's crazy what we're doing.
In March of 2021, I told people that the droplets from a cough travel 15 feet and from a sneeze up to 21 feet.
Sure.
So but we got to be careful going there. So
it's all about fear and control.
Yeah.
The flight attendants love put it above your nose. I mean, you wait. I can't wait until we get rid of these stupid. I mean, the CEO from American Airlines and Southwest Airlines came out and said, enough with the mask on our airplanes. We've got to really get rid of this stuff because It's not going to change anything. People are double vaxxed, they're boosted, wearing 2 masks, they're still getting sick and going to hospitals. I mean, give me a break. This thing is all just about controlling our lives, and people fall for it because people are sheep.
Well, and and it's interesting because I've been covering the People's Convoy in Hagerstown. The convoy that started in California, came across the country, and what little press coverage it gets continues to misrepresent it, talking about it's a truckers' rally, and then some guy gets up and talks about we're gonna tar and feather the BLM monument, and now their demands are to tar. No, they're not their demands. Some idiot got up and said that, and that was refuted by the organizers later that day when they got on stage. Yeah, it's kind of like the Canadian thing, a little Justin Trudeau there, his behavior up there.
Oh my God, you mean Fidel Trudeau?
Yeah. It's frightening, Kevin, because the irony with Canada is that the Canadian Charter of Freedoms, they didn't have that when they started in 1867. We had it from the very beginning, right after the Articles of Confederation went away, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution guaranteeing those inalienable God-given rights. But the Canadians didn't have that ratified and in paper, in writing, until 1981. And guess who signed the Charter of Freedom for Canadian freedoms?
It must be his father.
It was his father, Pierre Trudeau, and then he's the first guy to violate it. Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony.
There we go. Irony again. Yep.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So this independent filmmaking, it's interesting you talk about that because you've got your own studio there, and you're talking about making these films that cost $3 or $4 million, which is not a lot of money when people consider what it costs for travel.
That's catering budget on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, probably not even catering budget. It might be. It's not even costume, I'm sure, in a movie like that. But I mentioned to you when you're down there a company. I don't know if you had a chance to check into it. We don't have to go into it, but Creado, which Nick Searcy was involved in at the beginning. I don't know if they've gotten anywhere, but I haven't heard anything from them lately. It's interesting to see if something like comes along. That's an organization that claims that it's going to be neutral or at least conservative and try to overcome some of the efforts that they've been made to. It's ironic because Hollywood back in the day chased the leftist out, and now conservatives are chased out of Hollywood. It's really weird what happens with the film and television movie making industry.
Yeah, I mean, look, Hollywood was pretty conservative up until the 60s.
Yeah.
When the Vietnam Wars kicked in, when the hippie movement, the war, all that kind of stuff really sort of changed the thing. Movies never had a rating system until the 60s. Most movies were G or PG rated movies. But then they got, we started celebrating the anti-hero, and that's what we're doing now. We celebrate people who are bad people. And that's why Hollywood keeps making movies the way they do. Walt Disney said back in the 1950s, movies and television will influence our youth. Well, hello. Well, all you got to do is look at the streets out there right now and what's going on. Because most of the movies Hollywood does deal with anger and hate and divisiveness and violence and sex. And it just goes on and on and on. They got 12-year-olds making out now on Disney Channel. So Walt Disney's flipping over his grave going, what? They're talking about intercourse. I mean, it's crazy to me what we're doing. And this is all being done on purpose. And I'm not a prude in any way, but I think it's just unbelievable what we're doing in the brainwashing of our youth, especially, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, teaching children in primary school to masturbate and, teaching them at the age of 6, the gender.
You don't got to teach them, people. They'll find out eventually.
Exactly. That's, did you miss that part?
They can work it out.
Exactly. Did they miss that part of puberty? They didn't discover that on their own? Pretty crazy. But I mean, we can go on about that stuff forever. It's so broken what's going on in society, but it's. Yep. So this has been asked several times, so it's time to get to it. Just before we went on air, you and I chatted briefly, and that's about what's behind you in the wall. Now, before Kevin answers this, I looked at that wall when he first came on the screen. I said, my goodness, it looks like you're in the Army, man. I mean, I got challenge coins hanging on the wall back there. You've got weapons hanging on the wall. Of course, we know what that one weapon is, but if you could let the audience know a little bit about what's hanging on your wall back there, because they're very intrigued by it.
Well, I've got some good variety of stuff here, actually. Right there, that's a painting from the commander of a Chinook helicopter that did that for me in Afghanistan. He's a big fan of Hercules. They've watched all of Hercules. In fact, when they go in the battle, they say, let's give them an MF and Sorbo, is what they say in the battle. The sword was never used. It was a gift given to me in the very, very last day at the end of 7 years. That wonderful chapter in my life down in beautiful New Zealand on Hercules. And it was a gift given to me. I said the journey may be over, it says, but the legend lives on. And it was just a wonderful gift from the props department that went on to do 1 Academy Awards. They did all the props on Lord of the Rings down there. Most of my crew went on to work on Lord of the Rings. This is Lieutenant Dan Rooney's bit right here. This guy's amazing. He's got the Folds of Honor where he builds homes, and they also do a lot of things with making sure that families that have lost a mother or father in the war, that they are able to at least get them on to college. I said, don't go to college. Use that money for something better. Start your own business. Stay away from America's colleges. Just a variety of great stuff. I got Muhammad Ali over here. There's me and Muhammad up there at the fight night that they do every year in Phoenix, Arizona, the fight for Parkinson's. They do now, and now it's a cancer research that they're doing now. But I've met a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of people in all the armed forces, and tell me how much they call me a hero. And I said, dude, you guys are the heroes. If I screw up, I get a second take. You guys do not. So it's like, blessings to them. My brother, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Sorbo, 23 years in the Army as well. So, this is just sort of like an amazing honor for me to be part of stuff like this. And I've been very fortunate, this celebrity BS, that I've met a lot of wonderful people that they appreciate what I do, but I even have more appreciation for what they do.
Well, is that a challenge coin frame behind you? Is that what's behind your shoulder there? Are those challenge coins?
It is. I've got a couple of them. I got one here. Got another one over on that side over there. At the very top, you can see the back of my chair. I just finished the Reagan movie with Dennis Quaid.
Yep,
plays Ronald Reagan. That will come out. That actually is my great grandfather's violin.
Wow.
In Norway, brought over. It's dated 1878 on it. So I had it refurbished to put it up there because I thought that's just kind of a little thing from the family and all. But there's me with Rush.
I was going to say, I thought that's what it was. Yeah. Cool.
Ian Rush Limbaugh right there. Yeah.
Yeah. What a loss that was. What a great guy.
Oh yeah. Great guy. I golfed with him. First time I met him was back in 1998 when I was still doing Hercules, and Michael Jordan was in our group as well. And I came up to Rush and I introduced myself, and Kevin Sorbo goes, I know who you are. You're Hercules, for crying out loud. So and then about 5 holes later, I asked for a selfie, and I'm like, yes, that'd be great. So he did the photo, and I said, yeah, I don't really fit into the Hollywood world too much. And I said, you got a guy here who's not like a screaming left winger. And he goes, Kevin, I knew that when you asked for a photo with me. So it was pretty funny.
No, that's good stuff. We got a super chat.
That was at Reagan Library where he spoke. Gary Sinise brought him in. He spoke for about an hour and a half, and it was a great speech.
Yeah, no, he was an absolutely amazing individual. Really revolutionized talk radio and changed the whole landscape. Really, I mean, it's. I can't imagine where we'd be politically without talk radio today. It's really made a huge impact. And I was in radio briefly when I was at university as a kid, and I really enjoyed it. And that's kind of how I wound up getting back into doing this sort of thing. Is people encouraged me to do this after I retired. Transconservative Waifu says, Chris is Gandalf. No, I'm not. I may look like Gandalf, but I'm not Gandalf.
I think you should fill in for ZZ Top since they lost a member.
Well, that's the thing. I've been joking about that for a couple of years. The ZZ Top. The other thing is when they do a reboot of Duck Dynasty, I think I'll be in that. So
there you go. There you go.
Leo Vignanza from Rendsburg in South Area said, respect to Mr. Sorbo. What an amazing person with his head screwed on straight. Listen, not to play the role of fanboy here, Kevin, but just for my audience, because I've mentioned it since I've come back from CPAC and you agreed to come on the program. I said, one of the things I found really amazing about you, and I'd always heard this, but of course, when you meet someone, it's very different. Now, when I first saw you there was a big crowd, and the lieutenant governor from North Carolina had been over in the spot where you were near the escalator in the center of the conference center there. And I thought he was still over. I thought I'd go over and try to pass him my card and see if I could get an interview, because I interview politicians. And I'm like, oh, that's not him. That's Kevin Sorbo. And you had a whole bunch of people there, of course, want to get your attention. You were very generous with your time, wonderful for selfies. It was brilliant. But then I saw you a day, or I think 2 days later, maybe it was, you were talking to the candidate who's running for governor of Colorado, Danielle Neuschwanger, who I'd already interviewed. And I ran into her husband, and I said, hey, how's it going? He goes, oh, I'm fine. I said, where's Danielle at? Oh, she's over there talking to Kevin Sorbo. I'm like, sure enough. So I wandered over, and you were having a nice conversation with just a couple of people around there, and you brought me right into the conversation. We talked about things, and what I have to say to people is that you're genuine. That was my experience, and I think that's really awesome, because so many people are plastic, especially those who gravitate towards political issues, but even those in celebrities, they just really are kind of plastic. It's nice to meet someone genuine. So not to play a role fanboy, but just to offer you a compliment, which much of my audience is offering right now. So I thought I'd do that before I forget.
That's very kind. I think a lot of it comes from my Midwest roots. It comes from parents that were well-grounded, and they instilled hard work and all. I'm the fourth of 5 kids. They were always very, Go after what you want to go after. Don't expect handouts. I mean, my parents, they were Walter Mondale, Hubert Humphrey Democrats growing up, but honestly, they were conservative. They just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So pretty much what it is. But I think, and I think that I paid my dues in Hollywood. I always tell people that I'm a 13-year overnight success. So I appreciate the journey I had to get to where I am in the business. But I had a focus since I was 11 years old that this is what I wanted to do.
Well, in fact, talk about paying your dues. If I recall correctly, you were a bouncer at one point. You also did modeling. And didn't you do a Jim Beam commercial at some point early days?
I did. What's funny about that commercial, I shot that in 1992 in New Zealand, in Auckland, where they built a studio. They did a replica of like an Oklahoma redneck bar. And I thought, well, why aren't we just shooting this in Oklahoma? Why did this American company want to go all the way down there to shoot this? But I was there for 10 days. And I remember walking around the city of Auckland. I got out the suburbs a little bit and did some golfing while I was there. And I said, this place is awesome. I hope I get back here sometime. Well, a year later, I booked Hercules, ended up living in Auckland, New Zealand for 7 years. So be careful what you wish for. No, that to me is like my second adopted home country. I love the people down there. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. So that commercial went crazy for 5 years. It ran internationally. I got fan mail off of that before people 2 years later, when this Hercules started going, started realizing I was that same guy that played the Jim Beam commercial. So it was a big hit, and it was residuals are a wonderful word. It's actor's favorite word is residual.
Well, yeah, let that stuff keep coming. It's interesting how those commercials. I remember when the Most Interesting Man commercials came out. Dos Equis. My friends, I don't drink beer often, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis. I mean, that thing is stuck in my head forever. I was in Africa when I came back on a temporary visit to the States for a conference or something. I'm like, what the? Who is that? I've never seen this guy before. It just sticks in your head, those sort of things. Now, there's a comment here from, where'd it go? From Reddick. Reddick says, Kevin, you may not think this, but you've inspired many, many hundreds of thousands of people. Well, that's a very kind compliment. And that's probably true. I mean, your demeanor, your values, the things you stand up for, I think really have inspired a lot of people. And I'd like to say that it seems like you've used your celebrity to good means and good ends. That's, I think, what the sentiment is there.
Well, it used to be, people used to come up to me and stop me all the time because of Hercules or Andromeda. By far, 80% of the time now, people stop me at airports, hotel lobbies, restaurants, whatever, and they say, I love your movies. Please make more movies like Soul Surfer and God's Not Dead and What If and Let There Be Light. That's what people want. There's 80 million homes in America alone, 80 million homes that want the kind of content that I do. And Hollywood doesn't make it because of their ideology and hate towards people that are Christians or conservatives or both. I mean, it's amazing to me that, a business called show business, that we're at a place now that has just accelerated on itself over the last 10 years. People just wanting to hate people who are having a different point of view. I have atheist friends. I have agnostic friends. I have liberal friends. We give each other a hard time, but we still go golfing and go out and have a beer. We still have a good time together. So I don't get this hate-driven thing because I don't hate people that have an opposite point of view that I do. That's what freedom of speech is all about. But I mean, I can post on Twitter, hey, I had a great day in the golf course today. And the trolls are, well, I hope you die. I mean, it's like, wow, these are happy people. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. But I tell you, these people look in the mirror every morning. They hate what they see. Yeah. And misery loves company, like I said, and they want to drag you right down in that black hole with them. That's sad. It's just really sad that these people are living that kind of life and have that much hate and anger towards themselves. And they just want to take out on other people thinking to make them feel better. And it doesn't make them feel better. And it doesn't affect my life. It only affects them. It's sad. I feel sorry for these people.
Well, what gets me and strikes me is that why an industry would want to alienate 75% of its potential customer base. I mean, over 75% of Americans are devout Christians or people of faith. Why would you? It's actually higher if you include all faiths. But I mean, why would you alienate them? It's crazy. In fact, not to diss on a channel, but I know people were very fond of the Hallmark Channel. But the past 2 years, it seems to have taken a different direction and has been irritating a lot of people with some of the things that they brought on Hallmark and a bit frustrating with some of the stuff they're going on. And now I'm not a person that wears their faith, particularly publicly. Whether I believe in something, it's my prerogative. But my point is that I've always found it disheartening, the assaults on Christians in particular in this country, when this country is founded on Judeo-Christian beliefs. You go back, and for me, it seemed to, Kevin, you're a couple days older than me, but not too much older than me. So I wonder if you have the same impression. To me, it seems like this started in the 80s when they started attacking evangelicals publicly in the press and media. They went after Jerry Falwell and tried to make him out to be some horrible guy. And the more I learned about Jerry Falwell, the more I thought he was a good guy, and all these other folks. And I'm not evangelical, but I started following this, and it really disturbs me. I've, of course, lived in places where I've been a distinct minority ethnically, racially, and also religiously. I mean, I've lived in Arab countries where there's no Christians, and lived all over Africa. And I've but nothing but respect for people of faith, whether they're Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, or Christians. And it really disturbs me. But it seemed to me that's when it started. They went after evangelicals once it was cool for them to get away with it, and they got away with it. Then they went after Christians in general. Then they went after the family. You couldn't discipline your child in public. Beating a child is not the same as disciplining a child. Then they try to tear the family apart with state dependence, and it just goes on and on. Now it's transgender, and it's homophobic, and it's always something to tear us apart. There seems to be no effort by these institutions to bring people together. It's really disheartening. Do you have a similar impression about when this kind of started, or do you think it started afterwards or before that?
No, I think the 80s is fair enough. I think it started even back in the 60s, but I think it's accelerated on itself, and it's just gotten more and more prevalent out there where people just look, I think it's worse to be a Christian in Hollywood than it is to be a conservative. Yeah, and it's a weird thing. And since I'm both, I'm like a double leper in Hollywood. So my agent and manager, they booted me out 11 years ago. They said we can't work with you anymore, and I was like, you guys are the ones who scream for tolerance. And you scream for freedom of speech, but we all know that's a one-way street with these guys. And I love the industry. I love the creative process. I love making movies. I love being on the set. And so I said, okay, if I want to keep surviving this, I'm going to have to go into the independent world and try to do the best I can to try to raise money for my own movies or meet other people and it feeds, it's about 50-50. I get called by other people, say, hey, I got this great script. We'd love you to be part of it. And like I said, I don't harbor this hate and anger that these guys do. And it's weird to me that all they want to do is keep that thing going in an industry that's certainly capitalist. Hollywood can say all they want about we're believing socialism. No, you don't. I mean, you don't think Disney and Universal want to make money? They got stockholders. They got board members. I mean, of course they want to make money. It's a capitalist business. So it's crazy to sit there and look at the push out there. The money people, the tens of millions of dollars people threw at BLM. BLM, I don't want to appear like I'm racist. So I'm going to give money to a group that wants to get rid of God, get rid of family, promote Marxism. I mean, it's on their manifesto. I printed it out before they took it down off the internet. It's there, folks. And yet people like Delta and Coca-Cola throw millions of dollars at these people. And what do? Did they make Black lives better in America? No, they went out and bought a bunch of houses and took a bunch of, expensive trips. I mean, we'll talk about a con, but don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. I mean, God, we live in weird times. We live in such strange times. And I'm just going to keep fighting the good fight. I mean, Facebook took me down. I lost over 1 million followers on Facebook because I posted the truth. They don't like the truth. They hate the truth, but I'm not going to stop, but follow me on Twitter at KSorbs. I do very sarcastic 1 or 2 liners for the most part. One of my favorites is said, you want to get rid of COVID? Tell the Clintons COVID's got something on them. So there you go.
Well, just mention Vince Foster, but
yeah.
No, well, listen, Kevin. When you get to South Africa to do this film, you're going to find an interesting dynamic there. When I'm in Africa and when I'm in the States, I talk about people, about politics, and I talk about race. And in South Africa, when I'm around black folks, you can't talk about that. When I'm around white folks in South Africa, you can't talk about that. And it's the same thing here in America. I'm like, what are you talking about? If you don't talk about issues, how can you resolve them? How can you find common ground? How can you get to the bottom of things if you just get in your own corner and yell at each other?
Yeah, I love how people say, well, I'm not political. Yes, you are. Yes. Everything is political.
Yes.
Everything is political. Our country was founded on Judeo-Christian principalities. I mean, they were founded by people who were Christians, people of faith. Our Constitution came from that. Our laws come from the Bible, for crying out loud. We've got all our institutions. You can bash Christians all you want, but they're the ones who started all the universities. They're the ones who started most of the hospitals in this country. I mean, it's weird to me how we want to erase it. And now we're pulling down statues. We let these punks pull down statues.
Yep.
Abe Lincoln statue, George Washington
statue. The 54th Massachusetts.
It's I look at this and go, yes, every country has good and bad history. And that you have to teach history so it doesn't repeat itself. I mean, it's crazy to sit there and let these people do this. I'm sorry, if I was president, there's no way. I would have the National Guard in there right away. There's no way you're ripping down these statues.
Yep.
You know, they want to turn this country into Venezuela, North Korea. Nobody's taking boats from Key West to Cuba. Have you noticed that? Nobody's rushing the Rio Grande border down in Texas to get into Mexico. There's a reason for that. And people still don't want to get it because our education system has brainwashed kids from kindergarten through universities and made them and taught them to be to hate America. And I said, you want to end racism? Then stop telling 5-year-olds that they're racist.
Yeah.
I mean, I never felt the whole racism thing for the last 20 years until these last 5-6 years. It's crazy what we've done.
Well, no, this all started with Barack Hussein Obama. He went to great efforts in the society. I mean, you know, this nonsense, I could have been Trayvon Martin. Give me a break, you rich, privileged little turd. You grew up in Hawaii and Indonesia, upper middle class and wealthy. You went to Harvard. You
with a Marxist stepfather.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, give me a break. You could have been Trayvon Martin. I could have been Trayvon Martin. I grew up in the projects. I lived in abject poverty. We didn't have electricity. I fetched water from a cistern and used an outhouse. I don't want to hear this from an uber privileged, wealthy person who's accomplished zero in their life. It's just
who hates America and said, when once I'm president, I'm going to fundamentally change America. And I go, are you guys listening to what he said?
Yeah.
So if I'm about to get married and my future wife says to me, by the way, once we're married, I'm going to fundamentally change you. How many guys will get married?
Bye.
I hate to say this, but I got to go. I got a 12 o'clock, another Zoom call I got to do.
No worries. Okay. Thanks a lot, folks, for tuning in. I'll get the comments after Kevin's gone. Kevin, I'll reach out to you again. Maybe we can do something again sometime since you're so busy. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. God bless. And
SorboStudios.com. SorboStudios.com. Sign up.
All right. And greetings to your brother. My best wishes to
you.
All
right. Will do.
Cheers, folks. Kevin Sorbo. All right, there you go, folks. Kevin Sorbo. My apologies for not getting to those last couple of things. Matthew Dixon said, hey, Chris, thank Kevin for his values for God's Not Dead movie. Really helped during a dark period of time. It's awesome to see Christians doing awesome things. I'm sorry that we didn't get to that. Kevin was a few minutes late. He had another interview, and now he's got another interview. A busy guy there, but very generous with his time. Fishes Loaves. Chris always says it's a breakdown of families that causes the societal problems we face today. Kevin's an example of the truth and the importance of a solid upbringing. Agreed, 100%. And then Usina says, good evening, Colonel, Mr. Sorbo. I've been a big fan of yours from when I was a young man. Thank you is all I can say for a great legacy. And thank you, Colonel, for your excellent guest. Well, you're welcome for that, Usina. Thanks for tuning in. And all the people tuning in today. Ginger Ninja, what did you have here? Ginger Ninja says, a scientist figured out how to breed a human without male. Oh, jeez. God, yeah, I've read something like that. The Obsessive Gardener is here. Says, hi, Kevin. Tony Nage says, it's inevitable they'll start attacking at some point. It's always like that. We now live on the shores of the new Babylon. There you go. Nick says, Mr. Sorbo, not only are you a beacon in dark world, you certainly do it with style. Thank you. Yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he? Very generous with his time, although we did end that kind of suddenly. Purple Bear, Mr. Punisher, Teresa Bauman, Marlena, Fishes and Loaves, Lachlan, King Poobah. Okay, Backwoods Law. So there you go, folks. Purple Bear says, great interview. Thank you, Chris. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. We do our best to get great guests on here. Hey, Ken Aronston, good to see you again. Yeah, no, he was fantastic. It was wonderful, very generous with his time, and I really appreciate that. I wasn't sure it was going to happen when I first I received an email from him because he had my business card, and it was just kind of it almost looked perfunctory. It's like, great to meet you in Orlando. Something like that. I'm like, okay. I thought someone worked for him and filled that out. So I wrote back and said, Kevin, thank you very much for the email. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. I'd really like to follow up and do that interview with you. I suggested we talk about the film in South Africa if you'd like. And also be interested in interviewing your brother. If you sent the message, thank you very kindly. If someone did it for you, whichever the case is, very professional of you and very considerate of you to respond back to me. And I got a response back. And I was like, okay. But I wasn't sure I was going to get a response. It was pretty crazy. But anyway, so... Ronald's, hey, Ron, yeah, go back and watch from the beginning. We started a few minutes late, so we're not quite at an hour there. So this one went less than an hour. He showed up. He had a previous interview, ran over, and now he's got another one there. So if I'm not mistaken, that's the bone marrow babies you're talking about. I don't know about that, Reddick. You must be talking about the point that was made a short while ago. Camp Patton Family Compound just signed up. Just signed up for what? What'd you sign up for, Gil? For his website? Carol says, way to go. Okay, well, thank you for that. Yeah, guys and gals, I hope you enjoyed this. Kevin Sorbo Twitter. There you go. You can find him on Twitter. Yeah, and it was very kind who put put this on his social media. So I don't think that really had much of an impact. I don't think anybody came over from his social media, but I'm glad he put it there. Maybe people find it after the fact. So that'd be nice. But you can still see the impact of the shadow banning. Leon Kokomore had a super chat, said, as a Christian, was it difficult for you to portray the role of an atheist in God's Not Dead? That's a really good question, Leon. I apologize for not getting to it. I'm sorry, and thank you for the super chat. I'll send him an email and ask that question, Leon. And if I get an answer, I'll let you know. Fair enough? Fair enough. I think that's reasonable to do that. So let me just get to that real quick here. Reddick says, once again, epic stuff, Chris. Thanks. You're welcome. Okay, so that was at hang on. No. Where's this at? Oh, was it the super chat? Let me get the super chat. Oh, there it is. Leon Kokomore, I don't want to miss Leon's question there. So I will send him an email and try to get the answer for you. That's the best I can do since he popped smoke pretty quickly there. Didn't know he was going to do that. I got a little nervous there. We didn't get on until about 8 after because he was on that other one. Walter Dagenhart, Kevin, your movie and acting are truly superb. Hope you see more of your work. Enjoyed it since I was a kid watching. Same here. I wasn't a kid, though. I was already an adult when Hercules was on, but I've enjoyed it the whole time. I really would be cool to see him on a series again. I hope he gets one. That'd be really cool. Ginger Ninja says, great show. And then Tony says, Matthew 7:14 for today. You need to get Kevin on again. Yeah, it was awesome. And it went so fast, so very, very fast. Yeah, I just happened to look down and see that we were approaching noon, and I wasn't going to say anything to see if he'd go a little bit longer since we came out a little bit tardy. But he had to cut short and go, so there you go. That's the easiest I've ever had to get a guest off the show. He knows what he's doing. He hit the exit button. He was gone. I didn't have to put him in the waiting room. Yeah, there you go. I had to put Kevin Sorbo Studios up. He and his wife, Sam, worked at those studios together. Great website. You can learn about the films that they're making. It's pretty cool stuff. It's great to see him still active and working, and I like how humble he is. He really, really appreciates the life he's had. He's got a wonderful family, a great guy, and again, being raised by two parents, being taught values and respect for life really pays off. So in the email, you can tell him we had so many questions. We need to do it again. I will do that, Anne-Marie. That's a good point, and that might help prompt him to get up here again. So yeah, this one was a month in the making. Just sad to see you not wearing a rugby shirt that you and Moses Beard are so trademarks. No, I thought I'd wear this, something different, rather than wear a rugby shirt for this. Okay, this is Anne-Marie. That's one of the last things down here. Okay, there you go. Let me get that really quickly. Say that. Folks, I'll have the news program on at the bottom of this hour. And Ronaldo had to beg off again today, so we won't be doing Wednesdays with the Colonel on Ronaldo's program. So the news will be on after this at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 South Africa time coming up at the bottom of this hour. So in about 26 minutes, I already prepped for the news. I already have the headlines done and the articles chosen and the analysis prepared. So that's coming up here shortly. So please stick with us and come back. Is that pre-reading before Easter? What's that? What else? You guys are asking for me again. Most famous person ever had. Yeah, that's true. Steve Hofmeyer's famous, but Kevin Sorbo is famous worldwide, so that was really, really cool. I hope that that the video is rewarded and we get lots of coverage. I will upload it on Odyssey and also onto Rumble and BitChute, so hopefully we'll get some big views there. So you should have worn your Hercules outfit. I don't have a Hercules outfit. I thought about something like that, but I didn't want to be a fanboy. I also thought about wearing something space themed, but I said, no. That's why I wore a flannel shirt. Actually got a purple shirt under it there. So flannel shirt just to do this. So anyway, cool beans, folks. So Kevin Sorbo, he is everything that many of us thought he was. He's a gentleman. He's humble. He's engaging. He's a studly-looking fellow. And he's 63, by the way, in case you don't know that. He's 63 years of age. So, yeah, that's a bit older than me. I was being generous. He's a bit older than me. Yeah, but he has a really good interview. I really enjoyed it. I hope that YouTube doesn't take exception. He didn't say anything that violates the rules, but you never know with YouTube. So we'll watch out for that. Anyway, but you can see that he's clearly very animated by the nonsense happening politically in this country. Really irritated by that. Purple Bear says, yeah, he's my age. There you go. Hendo's put the link in for Sorbo Studios again. He also put the link in for his Twitter account. Yeah, he does look young, Ginger. He's taking care of himself. He's always been fit. We didn't get to, one thing I didn't talk about is that when he was in Hercules, a lot of people didn't know this, but he had an aneurysm in his shoulder or something like that, and it weakened him, and he had some micro strokes, and his health was in jeopardy, and they took care of him, but it took some time, and it took him a while to recover from that. And then Courtney's here. She said, great interview. Great job as always. Well, thank you for that, Courtney. I appreciate that. It's my pleasure. He does not look 63, says Hendo. No, he doesn't. He's 63 years of age, though. And standing next to him, he doesn't look 63. Looks like he's in his early 50s, you know. Yeah, or somebody that's in his late 40s who's had a hard life. But yeah, no, that was pretty cool. But yeah, he was very studly. That was him. None of that. There was no CGI to show off his abs and such when he was on the show back in Hercules or Andromeda. Andromeda's really cool. Of course, that was a Gene Roddenberry concept that was turned into a series after his passing. Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. I've got the entire series on Blu-ray. I don't have the Hercules series. I think I have Xena, Warrior Princess, but I really liked Lucy Lawless back in the day. So, yeah. Anyway, folks, Ruth, you're just tuning in. You need to go back and watch from the beginning. We started a few minutes late, but Kevin Sorbo left right at the top of the hour, but it was pretty incredible. So, yeah, we're just coming up on almost an hour now. You're both so down to earth. It's refreshing. Well, thank you, Purple T-Bear. I like to think so, too. You know, I joke about things, but I don't take myself that seriously, and it's pretty cool. Fish says, I bet you have Xena. Yeah, you can bet right. Just got home. Well, go back and watch it from the beginning, Ruth. And folks, feel free to go back and watch it again. You know, drive up the numbers. That'd be awesome. The more views you get on a video, the more likely it is to get promoted. Even with the algorithm shadow banning the channel, that still has an impact. And, you know, so there's a chance it'll get recommended. No, not Xenia, Ohio. Xena, Warrior Princess. Yeah, and I wanted to talk to him about New Zealand, but we just ran out of time. He had to go. Ruth is streaming at 8 o'clock. I'll be streaming at 6:30, so people can go watch Ruth after I'm off. Ronaldo won't be on today, so you don't have to worry about Ronaldo. So cool. What are you talking about today, Ruth? Let us know real quick, because I'm going to end our program. Okay, that's my new line. I'm this age, but I had a hard life. Tony says, people never believe me when I tell them how old I am. Yep. Definitely hot, says Hendo. Oh, okay, here goes Hendo, man. He's gonna get his Victoria's Secret models going. And actually, Hendo needs a new line because the Victoria's Secret woke models are not the ones you want to see. Anyway, folks, that's it. We're going to wrap it up here. Once again, Kevin Sorbo, a famed Hercules and Captain Dylan Hunt actor, done 70 motion pictures now, and he's done those 2 series plus lots of appearances and many other things. A devout Christian and a person who is conservative politically, who recently golfed with Voldemort. How cool was that? He golfed with Voldemort and introduced Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. So he lives in Florida now. That was interesting to discover. I didn't know that. Originally from Minnesota, lived in LA for a long time. So, all right, folks, we'll catch you later. I'll be back in 21 minutes for the news. So please tune in for that. Lots of headlines today. A lot of stories, including a taxi strike in South Africa, Poland, Finland. A lot of news on Finland today. So tune in for that. And thank you, Hendo, for the job on the job as a moderator today. I appreciate it. And once again, my profuse thanks to Kevin Sorbo for his time and for the engaging conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I think the audience did as well. Thank you all. God bless, and take care of yourselves. And we'll catch you here in about 20 minutes for Chris Wyatt Reports, the Indaba African news of the day. Cheers, everybody.